The following is produced by 5 Star Productions USA, which is solely responsible for its editorial content and is sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care.
Some of the most valuable lands in the United States are wilderness areas, wetlands, and forests. These lands are valuable not just for their timber, fish, and mineral resources, but also as habitats for wildlife and sources for our water supply. These are also places to enjoy and interact with nature. I'm Ed Begley Jr. Join me as we explore ways to save these and other precious resources on today's environment.
Today, City Council with 9,000
reducing air
supermarkets
pollutants by
recycling a milestone.
30%. Educational programs.
Kenai Fjords National Park in Alaska is a rich rainforest, home to tens of thousands of breeding birds. It is also the site of one of the 4 major ice caps in the United States. We discovered how teaching people about our precious rainforests and other national treasures is helping our preservation efforts.
Years ago, when people began recycling, the amounts were insignificant. As recycling grew and these materials became more usable, companies realized the value of making recycled products. Soon, the concept of recycling spread from community to community as overflowing landfills made it a necessity. Now, the amount of materials collected for recycling has far outgrown the market. The recycling dilemma? We aren't buying enough recycled products. There is someone who is changing the way recycling is being addressed and actually challenging manufacturers to come up with ways they can use these materials. At the corporate headquarters of McDonald's, alongside new business strategies and marketing and advertising, environmental solutions are getting the same priority. The focus ranges from using its global buying power to promoting local recycling programs across America. McDonald's uses its clout to make a difference when it comes to environmental issues. They also take every opportunity to leverage all of their resources, from corporate to the local restaurant owner and its network of suppliers across the country, to coordinate an effective environmental campaign. Focusing on the problem facing our nationwide recycling effort, McRecycle USA was born. McDonald's started with a campaign to buy recycled materials and goods wherever possible. And they set a goal to purchase $100 million worth of recycled products each year to use in operations, equipment, and construction materials. Their hard work paid off, and by the second year, they had far exceeded the original goal, purchasing over $400 million of recycled materials. This was made possible by using recycled materials wherever it could, but McDonald's wanted to go further. In 1990, they formed an alliance with the Environmental Defense Fund, a leading environmental group, and together studied their overall ability to reduce, reuse, recycle, and compost. The result was a comprehensive strategy with specific steps that McDonald's initiated in the following 2 years. All these efforts may not seem like much, but when you multiply them by the 8,800 neighborhood restaurants in the United States, that's a lot. So much that their efforts were honored along with the Environmental Defense Fund by the President's Council on Environmental Quality. The best part is that these programs have influenced positive environmental contributions from your neighborhood McDonald's. In the growing corporate society, it's nice to know that some are showing as much concern about the environment as they are about you.
The California redwood forest. It contains the world's tallest known trees, one standing over 369 feet. It took thousands of years for it to grow. It would take only 5 minutes to cut it down. Recycling paper is one way to prevent the depletion of our forests. Today's environment found another recycling effort spreading across the country.
a product everyone takes for granted until those rare occasions when it fails to work is the lead-acid storage battery. Every car, truck, and boat requires one to start. Each year, about 80 million replacement batteries are sold in North America. This represents about 1.8 million pounds of lead and 100 million gallons of sulfuric acid. These are staggering amounts. But what happens to those 80 million worn-out batteries? What happens to that acid and lead? How are they handled, and where do they go? East Penn Manufacturing is a producer of a wide variety of lead-acid batteries, which range in size from a few ounces to as much as 10 tons. Their battery and accessory manufacturing complex in Lyon Station, Pennsylvania, is surrounded by fertile farms with dairy herds grazing at its fence. So, how do you safely recycle old, worn-out scrap batteries into materials for new products? Lead-acid batteries have the highest recycling rate of any product. A 1990 industry study done in the United States revealed 97.8% of all used lead batteries were returned for recycling. When East Penn processes its share, virtually 100% of every used battery is recycled. 20 truckloads are processed every day. The batteries are received and stored in plastic wrap to protect the surrounding area. The tops are sawed off, and the sulfuric acid is safely collected in stainless steel tanks. The empty scrap batteries are tumbled together in an enclosed and ventilated operation where the plastic from the cases and covers are automatically separated from the heavier lead plates. The used acid is processed through a brand new patented acid reclamation plant where it is refined. This environmentally safe system does not produce any harmful byproducts, only fresh, clean, diluted sulfuric acid for use in new batteries. The used plastic is ground up, cleaned, and remolded into new battery cases. The lead plates and separators are fed into a computer-controlled horizontal gas furnace, which produces lead and a byproduct called slag. This slag contains high percentages of lead. To recover this lead, the slag is fed into a second computer-controlled vertical furnace. This lead is further processed to be used in new batteries. The entire smelting and refinery operation is a closed-loop system. All of the dust is trapped and fed back through the smelter. This prevents any harm to the surrounding farms. Even the sulfur gases from the furnaces are trapped and processed into liquid fertilizer. It's stored in this 1 million-gallon tank while awaiting shipment to fertilizer manufacturers. Even the heat from the smelting furnaces is used to warm the company's buildings in the winter. The next time you need a new battery for one of your vehicles, remember to take back the old one. It can be safely recycled, giving life to a new battery while saving precious natural resources. Any old batteries you might have sitting around should also be taken to a retailer for safe recycling. Our environment depends on it.
In 1985, there were 520 million motor vehicles in the world, nearly 2 times the number of cars in 1975. The good news is natural gas as an alternative fuel could reduce car emissions by 25%, and electric cars produce no emissions at all.
Air pollution. It's a major contributor to acid rain and smog, and it's believed to be the primary cause of global warming. Acid rain is damaging some of our most precious timberlands and poisoning our streams and rivers. In some sensitive lakes and streams, entire species of fish have been eradicated. Smog, the yellowish-brown haze that covers some of our major metropolitan areas, contributes to respiratory problems, irritates the eyes, and reduces our visibility dramatically. Major contributors to acid rain are antiquated coal-fired power plants, which emit sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides into the air. These toxic chemicals then return to the earth in rain. Smog is ground-level ozone, which is formed when sunlight interacts with nitrogen oxides and hydrocarbons in the air. Nitrogen oxides come primarily from automobiles and coal-fired power plants. Hydrocarbons are emitted chiefly by the motor vehicles we drive. All over the world, these elements combine with carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases to accelerate the problems associated with global warming. Our growing appetite for power and the ever-increasing demands for mobility has put a strain on our environment and accelerated the need to discover cleaner, cheaper fuels for both power generation and transportation. Of all the Earth's energy resources, natural gas is the most readily available, the cleanest, and with huge reserves, one of the most abundant. Coal-burning electric power generation creates sulfur dioxide emissions that cause acid rain, nitrogen oxides that cause smog, and carbon dioxide emissions that can contribute to global warming. The public's desire for increased environmental protection and the new Clean Air Act may provide natural gas its biggest opportunity to make its contribution to our energy needs. Natural gas is going to be a bigger part of our energy future than it is today, and that will be good for the environment as well as for the economy. Enron Corp., America's leading natural gas company, is providing this clean fuel. While we're currently generating 56% of our electricity from coal-burning electric power plants, natural gas-burning power plants only supply 9% of our electricity needs. But they eliminate all of the sulfur dioxide, 80% of the nitrogen oxides, and 58% of the carbon dioxide emissions of their coal-burning counterparts. And they produce zero solid waste. Natural gas power generation is not only safer and cleaner, it's also cheaper. A natural gas plant costs approximately half as much to build as a coal plant and can generate electricity for about 1/3 less cost over the course of its operating life, and is 30% more efficient. In fact, many believe that natural gas should be adopted as the standard for power generation unless other alternatives are cleaner, cheaper, and more reliable. In automotive applications, natural gas vehicles emit over 80% less reactive hydrocarbons and less carbon monoxide than conventional motor vehicles. Natural gas vehicles on the roads today are gaining recognition in cities like Los Angeles that find emission controls on gasoline-burning cars are insufficient to clean the air. All in all, an efficient natural gas-based energy system is a logical step. For the environment, natural gas can be viewed as a bridge to an ecologically sustainable energy future, a means to solve today's problems and lead us to the solutions for tomorrow. The world population continues to boom. Both parents are working, and people are commuting further to reach their place of employment. There's no doubt more people are on the go, making highways more congested. In 1989, the U.S. General Accounting Office estimated $100 billion was spent in lost wages and wasted fuel while sitting in traffic. One way to reduce congestion, conserve fuel, and reduce emissions is to find more resourceful ways to transport freight. Fe Railway and J.B. Hunt Trucking Company have joined forces to create a service to address this environmental problem. Each year, more than 6 million tractor-trailers and ship containers literally take a ride on the Santa Fe Railway. The reason? A train can move a ton of freight more than 300 miles on a single gallon of fuel. This saves energy, natural resources, and cuts down on emissions. While the trucks are used for local and short-distance delivery, trailers are loaded onto trains for the long haul across country. A train's high fuel efficiency is due in part to its aerodynamics, its non-stop travel, and the smooth movement of steel wheels on rails. A decade ago, Santa Fe created the articulated rail car. These high-tech cars are lightweight, more aerodynamic, and smoother riding than standard rail cars. The cars weigh less because they share a set of wheels. Weight is carried on the ends of the car, which makes it lightweight and easy to pull. The railway covers all aspects of fuel conservation. In the past, engineers kept their locomotives idling all the time because once they were shut down, they were hard to restart and the engine could be damaged. New locomotives don't have this problem, so the engines can be turned off when not in use to save fuel. The railway also reduces the speed of trains that are ahead of schedule. This reduces fuel consumption while still getting the customer's goods to their destination on time. When a company of this size consumes almost 320 million gallons of diesel fuel a year, conservation is important. These basic measures saved nearly 5 million gallons of fuel in 1991. Locomotives like these sometimes use as much as 350 gallons of oil. Altogether, the company uses about 2.9 million gallons of lube oil a year. Santa Fe sends all its used oil to a re-refinery where it's cleaned through a heating process. All of the recycled oil is used in train engines once again. In the past 2 years, they've replaced 1/4 of their locomotive fleet with new, more fuel-efficient models. There are some investments that you don't have to pay taxes on, and some that can't be written in a ledger, and that's investing in our environment for the future.
It's well known that ozone at lower levels is a major contributor to smog. It can double a person's sensitivity to allergens that can cause asthma attacks. Asthma affects at least 10 million Americans, and air pollution is a mounting health problem. We found a mining effort extracting metals in a safe, ecological way.
With environmental awareness on the rise and stricter government regulations, major corporations are paying special attention to their garbage bins and the surrounding air. Some companies have been one step ahead of the rest by foreseeing the problems caused by excessive waste and pollutants. None of us had heard the terms global warming or the greenhouse effect 50 years ago. When Outokumpu of Finland, one of the world's leading base metal producing companies, began its efforts toward cleaner air. Metals like copper and nickel are refined by smelting, an intense heating method that separates them from rock and its impurities. The problem with smelting used to be the pollutants it created. Outokumpu has designed and further developed 2 new systems, flash smelting and flash converting, in which metals production is no longer a major threat to the environment. The process takes place in an enclosed atmosphere, preventing gases and other pollutants from being released. With the newest flash smelting system, 99.9% of the gases are captured, an incredible breakthrough for the smelting industry. Magma Copper in Arizona is operating with a clean and productive new flash smelter, and will soon be followed by the Kennecott Corporation in Utah, both leading copper producers. These new smelting operations are expected to set new emissions laws for other metals producers across the United States. When Kennecott completes construction on its new flash smelter facility in 1995, the company plans to remove the old smelter and fill the area with trees and plants, which will benefit the environment. Many of the mines employ full-time specialists to watch over a host of environmental concerns. Outokumpu's Tara mines in Ireland have been specially landscaped with beauty and beasts in mind. Over 30 acres of woodland have been set aside to help boost the population of wildlife. The Tara mines have won awards for their preservation efforts. Outokumpu Electronics and the Environmental Protection Agency have worked together to develop methods to systematically test areas suspected of being contaminated. There are 24 priority pollutants, such as arsenic, lead, and chrome, being tracked by the EPA. All but one is detectable with the Hazmat analyzer. These contaminants could have entered the soils from industries, such as plating shops using heavy metals, or from emissions such as lead from car exhaust. Before portable instruments, finding and analyzing pollution required hundreds of samples to be sent to labs for testing, a cumbersome process for large sites. Outokumpu's field equipment provides fast, reliable results right on the spot. On-site analysis reduces the number of samples collected and speeds up the evaluation process. This helps protect our surrounding communities and the world we live in.
It is estimated that by 2009, 80% of today's landfills will have reached capacity. We can help solve our landfill problem by reducing the amount of garbage we throw away and recycling every possible material. We discovered one way metals are being kept from landfills and used again.
Each day, fewer and fewer landfills are operating as they have reached maximum capacity. Most states have placed severe restrictions on what types of garbage they can accept. The federal government created the Superfund, which provided some funds for environmental cleanup, but also required companies to accept financial responsibility for the safe use and disposal of their hazardous products. In 1990, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency ruled that industrial nickel-cadmium, or NiCad batteries, are hazardous waste. They're most often found in the railroad, communications, and electric utility industries for backup systems. These batteries can last from 5 to 10 years. A much larger and more threatening problem are the consumer versions of these batteries. This variety is used for portable tools, rechargeable flashlights, appliances, and entertainment systems. They last from 2 to 3 years and currently do not fall under federal regulations. However, several states are now requiring manufacturers to take back the used NiCad batteries. One company, Inmetco, has found a solution for disposing of batteries at its facility in Elwood City, Pennsylvania. Inmetco has been involved in recycling nickel, chrome, and iron since 1978 and has developed a method for reclaiming the metals from nickel-cadmium batteries. The process is called pyrometallurgical reclamation, which recovers 98% of the nickel, 96% of the iron, and 86% of the chrome. The batteries are first drained of their liquid chemical content, which is stored in this tank. It will later be used to help control the pH in the system's wastewater treatment plant. The battery casings are then fed into a shredder, where they're torn into small strips and collected in storage containers. Other waste materials, including dusts from electric arc furnaces, oily grindings, and mill scale hauled in from nearby stainless steel plants, are all mixed together. These waste materials are blended with additives, placed on a conveyor, and fed onto a device called a pelletizing disc that turns the material into green pellets. The green pellets are then mixed with the strips from the shredded batteries. The mixture is placed in a rotary hearth furnace operating at 2300 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. The waste materials are reduced to their metallic form, caused by a chemical reaction between the oxygen in the material and carbon added during the blending process. Discharged metal-laden gas, including cadmium from the batteries, is combined with water at the wet scrubber. The water and metal-containing solids are treated in the wastewater treatment plant. A clean gas stream is discharged containing water vapor and products of combustion which meet the required environmental standards. The remaining hot pellets are sent to the submerged arc furnace, which produces a nickel, chrome, and iron alloy. Lime, silica, and magnesia separate to form a liquid called slag. Periodically, it is tapped from the furnace. The molten slag is spread out into a thin layer to cool. After it cools, this non-hazardous slag is crushed and sized. This material is then sold for use in highway, road, building, or other construction uses. Last, the nickel, chrome, and iron alloy is poured into what is known as a pig caster. Each cast produces finished pig, which is sold to and reused by producers of stainless steel as a primary feed in the stainless steel production process. With high-temperature metal reclamation finding a positive use for every product, co-product, and byproduct it produces, it makes a lot of sense and is helping to protect our environment while sustaining our natural resources for future generations. Inmetco, playing a major role in keeping our environment clean.
An ancient Chinese proverb stated, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." Get involved with protecting our environment today to save our planet for the future. Reducing, reusing, and recycling what we use can help preserve our future. Start today with your first step. Reduce what you use, reuse what you can, and recycle what you can't. Learn what you can do and do it. I'm Ed Begley Jr. Join me next week as we continue to explore other environmental solutions on today's environment.
If you know of any interesting environmental success stories, call us at 407-997-9800. This has been a presentation of 5 Star Productions USA. The preceding program was sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care.